Schedules of reinforcement just describe the frequency at which we deliver reinforcement. And there are two main types. The first is known as a ratio schedule. And what that means is the number of times the performer has to do the behaviour in order to earn the reinforcement in effect. So every time we turn on a light switch, we get light. So it's 1 for 1. One press, we get light. Every time I eat my favourite chocolate, I get that yummy taste. It's 1 for 1. Throwing a ball for a well-behaved dog who brings it back every time, there's reinforcement on a ratio of 1 to 1. The other type of schedule is something known as interval. And what that describes is how long we have to wait in order to experience the reinforcer after doing the behaviour. So it's about an elapse of time. And I know what you're thinking. What is she going to say about that countdown timer? I can't imagine. So if you are cooking something for tea, cooking something for dinner, and you put some food in the oven and it takes 20 minutes to cook, there is no point visiting the oven in the intervening time, 12 minutes, 9 minutes, to get the food out because the reinforcement, the cooked food, isn't available. I live in quite an old house and there's a bit of dodgy plumbing, and in the morning when I turn on the hot tap or turn on the shower, it takes a while to earn or to get the reinforcement of the hot water, which is what I want. And I am sufficiently confident that you can figure out what the interval schedule is for the last example. So all of these are examples of fairly short intervals, well, maybe all of them, or short ratios. Does that mean then that we're stuck in a place where to get the performance that we want, we have to be doing that? We have to be sticking to a short ratio or a short interval? Well, not necessarily. We just need to figure out what will sustain the behaviour over time. And it's known as thinning out the schedule. So if we're trying to stretch our reinforcement effectively, trying to make our reinforcement go further, it's called thinning out the schedule. So right now, if we are maintaining a behaviour on the basis that we're reinforcing it 1 for 1. So every time the behaviour happens, we reinforce. It's a fixed ratio of 1 to 1. So for example, if you're trying to train a dog to sit, then every time the dog sits, it gets a treat. So sit, treat, it's 1 for 1. Trying to encourage little people to eat vegetables, every time a mouthful of broccoli goes in, lots of attention and kind of positive faces, it's a ratio of 1 to 1. So thinking about stretching that out would perhaps look like seeing if we could still get the dog to sit by giving it a treat every second or third sit, or praising the toddler for eating vegetables every second or third mouthful, just seeing if we can make it go a bit further. And the same logic applies to interval schedules. So if right now we've created the situation where we can get the children to vacuum, but it's for 2 minutes, and then they stop because we've promised something, or if I've convinced myself that I could go for a jog for 5 minutes and then I need to have a rest, could I figure out how to stretch this out so that maybe I could get the kids to vacuum for 5 minutes before they get the reward, or maybe I could jog for 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes before I'll stop. So it's about making the reinforcement go further. So from a workplace perspective then, I think what's critical is a fundamental understanding of behavioural science from the people who are operating on the environment, so the people who are providing leadership. So if the leaders, the local leaders in our environment, have a good understanding or enough of an understanding to make sure that they can pinpoint a behaviour and then deliver continuous reinforcement, then that's a fantastic start. It means we'll get behaviour going. And if those people are then able to start practicing with thinning out the schedules over time, so they're building fluency in whatever the desired behaviour is, until they've figured out just where the balance lies in terms of enough reinforcement to sustain a behaviour, but not so much reinforcement that effectively it's wasted. Because I think from the perspective of the people that work in a business, hopefully most people have been employed on the basis that they're very competent people and are very able to do what they're doing. And I think there's a chance that if we don't thin out our schedules, that it might feel like micromanagement, it might feel like too much attention over time. And the benefit, I think, of realising thinning out schedules is that we have more time. So if we are attempting to coach people or spend time on different things, it just gives us more opportunity to do that because we've got a broader focus for our attention. So I think really the aim here is to figure out what the continuum is in terms of leadership attention, to get more of the safe behaviours, to get more of the healthy behaviours, to get more of any of the behaviours that would be important in our organisations. Because at one end, we've got starvation, not enough attention, not enough reinforcement to sustain behaviours. And at the other end, we've potentially got suffocation, too much attention, too much reinforcement, dare I say. So what we're looking for, I think, is the sweet spot in the middle. The sweet spot where what we've created is the opportunity for people to flourish. Thank you very much.